is now lacking value. And Huron has already talked about music and jingles, right? So Huron uses those 6 elements of effective music advertising. Now we can all agree as we watch this yodeling rabbit that is a really irritating yodeling rabbit in exchange for Skittles. Obviously, the yodeling rabbit has a cultural value. It has value, and it is of equal value to a bag of Skittles. It's in this exchange, this commodity exchange, where of course Adorno was having his own heart attack.
I thought you were sitting with a candle.
So there's a commodity exchange with Skittles for the rabbit. And then we realized that maybe the rabbit's value, because it doesn't shut the F up, is maybe not the best thing. We can all agree that this is very, very effective advertising. We're not going to look at this and not know that it's Skittles, right? Yet Huron says that effective advertising is entertaining, adds structure, it's memorable, uses lyrical language, targets, and authority establishment. So of those 6 things, yes, this is entertaining. But does the music add anything for the structure? No, it doesn't. It could be yodeling farts for all it mattered. It's not going to, the music itself doesn't add anything to the structure of the narrative, the structure of the advertisement. It also doesn't bookend the advertisement. It doesn't start the advertisement, it doesn't end the advertisement. It is throughout the advertisement. The music doesn't stop. Yes, it's memorable, but it's not the music that's memorable, it's the fact that it's a yodeling rabbit that's memorable. So it's not the music that's memorable. The lyrical language, there's no lyrical language here. It's yo, 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 you know, it's the little rabbit doing its little thing. And so there isn't it's not like a jingle where, you know, you're going to remember, you know, that the phone number for Pizza 73 is 473-7373, right? Because that's a musical, memorable language, right? So that's the lyrical language. It's definitely not targeting. Targeting is using the musical codes and saying this type of music targets to this particular audience. It's candy. And opera music and candy, anybody who's been to the opera and listened to somebody open a bag of candy knows that music, opera music and candy don't mix. To the guy who sat in front of us at level 1. It's candy. And he's talking. Anyways, so opera music doesn't target consumers of candy. And this music is so far removed from opera that most people, when they're watching this, don't recognize it as opera. And there's definitely no authority establishment. So of course you're using opera music to establish, you know, prudential financial services or something like that. That is going to be that authority establishment. This music doesn't do that. So if this is effective advertising and yet it's only effective in one of six Huron's effective advertising elements, what makes it effective? What I'm saying is that we need to reject that and go back to this lack of cultural value. What's actually happening is that this music is carrying the baggage of every place it's ever been. This is proof that the image imparts upon the music just as much, if not more, than the music imparts upon the image. When we think of the Libiama chorus, most people, even when reading the YouTube, this video has been on YouTube since 2006. It was created in 2006. The 2 most viewed versions of this on YouTube have 2.3 and 1.1 million views. And of the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of comments, 5 correctly identify the music, the composer, and the opera. The rest of them are like, that's from The Sopranos, that's from the Doritos advertisement, that's from this, that, or the other thing. They're all referencing other places. Or they're commenting that the guy with the glasses is Kelly from Shoes, and the guy with the curly, the brown guy is the guy from Outsourced, is what they're referencing otherwise, right? Or I want the rabbit, or I love that rabbit, and why would you give up a rabbit for Skittles, that sort of thing. Why would you give up a rabbit for Skittles? So, you know, the music is actually chosen for its familiarity. If the rabbit was singing something different, something that was going to target a specific audience, it's going to alienate everybody else. If the rabbit was singing well, then there's the argument that it's not going to be as irritating, and it is going to be sad if the rabbit bites the guy and runs away, and that sort of thing. So, you know, it is the fact that this music was very specifically chosen because it lacks cultural value. It's so far divorced from its cultural source that it's just without value. And so those are going to be those three new ways of taking a look at, look, he's sad, because the rabbit just won't shut up. He's down outside the rain, and Kelly enjoys his Skittles, and that sort of thing. So that's what I'm saying, is that we need to look at those different ways of looking at music first, and how it's use those different approaches, the four different approaches. So high culture, throwback, creation of emotion, and then lack of culture, before we can start moving forward to what TAG suggests with an overall musicological theory, musicology of television advertising music. Yeah, thanks. Questions, comments? Really? It was really that straightforward? I'm sorry I talked about it.
I'm a little confused about the loss of culture one.
The lack of culture?
Lack of culture.
I really have to like skim over it. Really, there's 130 pages if you want to read. It's a process. So essentially, it's that, you know, the music gets removed from the musical object, and its initial removal from the musical object, it still retains that cultural value. So yes, the first time Little Piano Chorus was used outside of the opera house, it had that high cultural reference. But through time, as it gets, and this lack of cultural value, the music is used for lack of cultural value, is very, very few pieces of music. There's maybe a handful of them. You know, and it's one of those things where we all know as we watch TV that when things spill, they always spill in slow motion, and it's the Ride of the Valkyries or something really dramatic, and it's only Bounty that can sop up this mess and that sort of thing. It's opera music, but it's been removed from the Ride of the Valkyries to the point that it's, you know, and none of these would necessarily work in isolation. It's really neat and tidy that the three examples I chose were very neat and tidy. But there are a lot of examples that use different levels. For example, there's a Lincoln Navigator advertisement where it's an Italian opera version of Home on the Range. And the Lincoln Navigator is sitting in the Arizona desert, and it's an Italian opera, Home on the Range. So it's utilizing that cultural value and raising that cultural value, but still subverting it through a throwback sort of reference, right? So it's the same sort of thing with lack of cultural value. There's only going to be a few pieces of music. The La Chigara from Mozart's, I'm trying to remember. But there's a few of them, you know, like Puccini, there's a couple of really, really big ones. Boliviano Horse from Verdi is one of those ones that gets used a lot because Verdi is very accessible, very popular in his time and even now.
Very popular.
Same with Puccini, Wagner, snippets get used. Night on Bald Mountain gets used all the time.
There's a lot of snippets that you have that you could almost say they're stock music.
It is. It's like it's stock music, and that's exactly what it is. It lacks cultural value.
And I'm wondering about what would be the place in where in one of these categories would the very first instance of that music be used in that way?
It would be on a high cultural value. Right? It's gonna the closer it is to the original musical object, the closer it is. It's a sliding scale. High culture, throwback, creation of emotion, lack of culture. The more it gets used, the farther away it gets. Right? So and you actually see that the music gets from more, you know, it's really familiar, less familiar, somewhat familiar, and then going off familiar. How many people know the Gypsies chorus?
Have you seen it happen in like 15-year-old commercials or something versus?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. When you look at like the 1980s, there's a bunch of Cheerios Honey Bee commercials in the 1980s. They're using music that is now like star music, right? Yeah. So you do see it happen, and you see this increase of classical music being used in different ways in the past 10 years. Definitely. And that's why nobody's talked about it. Building my niche.
Dig that niche.
Dig it in there.
All right, guys,
Yes.
but we need to move on because we want to get this awesome band on.
Yes, but thank you everybody.